the first reptile myth that we're going to talk about is that all reptiles lay eggs. Now that is in fact not true, as there are many reptiles that actually give live birth, including our Jackson's chameleons. Now Jackson's chameleons, they do give live birth. They will not lay the eggs. Now the cool thing about Jackson's chameleons females is that when the babies develop in their body, they do develop inside of eggs, but the eggs do not have a shell. So she just keeps those eggs inside that have no shell. The babies develop, and then eventually they will kind of like, I guess you could call it, hatch inside of the female, and she'll pass the babies out like you would see any other animal give live birth. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So technically it's still in an egg, but it just doesn't have a shell and she doesn't lay them. So not all reptiles lay eggs. And it's not just Jackson's chameleons, there are other types of lizards that do that same thing. And there are also lots of snakes that do it too, including our blood pythons that we have here at our store. She does give the same type of live birth where babies develop inside of a shellless egg inside the body, and then they're passed through when it's time for them to be born. Now the next reptile myth we're going to debunk is that reptiles need friends and lots of playtime to be happy. That's actually not true. Reptiles will be perfectly happy living in a cage by themselves. In fact, that kind of makes them happier. What are you doing, little dude? And this Beardy has decided that he's going to be arboreal. What are you doing? Ugh, let me help you. Oh. What are you doing? Alright, back to business. So these guys actually do quite well living alone. They don't need to be in big groups or anything, or multiples. Actually, being by themselves means that they don't have any competition for food, so they can eat as much as they need to. You don't have to worry about one dominating the other one, or if you have a male and a female, you don't have to worry about breeding and having a bunch of babies or eggs. So they definitely don't need other animals to be happy. And you also don't need to play with them all the time. In fact, too much playtime can actually stress them out and they might get sick. So yeah, these guys do perfectly well by themselves. And that's not just beardies, that's basically goes for all of your different reptiles, snakes, lizards, and even amphibians like frogs. Alright, so our next myth we actually have living proof of, and the myth is snakes are just lizards without legs. Now that is in fact not true, and Wilson here is a perfect example of why it isn't. Wilson is a European legless lizard. He has no legs at all, but he is most obviously still a lizard. There are many differences between snakes and lizards than just the absence of legs in general. This guy, he has no legs, but he's still got all the other qualities of a lizard. He's got the eyelids, whereas snakes do not have eyelids. He's got external ear openings on each side. Now this little guy, you see those jaws? He cannot detach those jaws like a snake can. He can't eat prey, he can't stretch his jaw to fit prey of like way bigger sizes. He's gotta eat what a lizard his size would normally eat. So yeah, there's a lot more differences between lizards and snakes than just the absence of legs. Now this last myth is something that people mistake most often about chameleons. The myth is that these guys change their color to blend in with their environment. Now that is in fact not true. These guys change color as a ways to communicate and to show how they are feeling. Now as a general rule of thumb, these guys usually flare up into some pretty crazy colors once they get stressed out. If they get really stressed out, they might turn like a very bright, dark black, a very dark colors with lots of spots. And usually the lighter they are, the more calm they are. But with like veiled chameleons and stuff, they're usually a nice calm green color when they're feeling pretty good. When they get stressed out, then you'll see them get some nice dark stripes and spots. So it's definitely not to blend in with their surroundings. Now, another cool thing about these guys is during breeding season, they will change a certain color depending on if they are gravid or not. I know female veiled chameleons, they'll usually get some kind of blue spots all over them when they've been, when they're gravid with eggs. And I know afterwards they turn pretty black and brown after laying the eggs because of the stress. So those are also some good examples of these guys using colors to communicate. Alright, so this one got a little mad at me, so you can kind of see those spots on him. It's definitely showing that he's a little mad. He or she, I don't know if that's the boy or girl. I think that might be the girl. So yeah, you see how she's kind of dark like that. She was kind of like a green all around, but then she darkened up a little. It's definitely a communication that she is a little bit mad.